Hello everyone, the 316 LEGO Maniac 316 here with my first Halo the Spartan Collection action figure review. This is the Series 4 Spartan Yoroi with accessories, and depending on where you get him, the cost may fluctuate, but it's around $19.99 to I think at most $24.99. I got this for I believe $20.99 at my local Walmart. Very lucky to find this figure. It's very, very difficult to find. They actually, I believe, had the entire wave there. If you want to take a look at the box real quick. Yeah, I know they had the Halo 2 figure. I saw Enigma there in June. Not sure about Master Chief there. Anyway, this is, like I said, the first Spartan Collection figure I'm taking a look at. It's also the first, let's see, Jazzwares, as you can see there, the Wicked Cool Toys Jazzware Company figure that I've ever taken a look at. I've never bought in a Jazzware figure before. I want to take a look at the box real quick because it's not very interesting. You got UNSC, and then at the top here it says, if it'll focus, Spartan Yoroi. There's literally nothing on the bottom. The side here says Halo Infinite, and it has a nice UNSC embossed like logo on here. It feels kind of flimsy, but it's on there good. As you saw, the back of the box there with the other figures shows what the figure comes with. Top of the box also has a UNSC logo, and there's the front of the box. Really, nothing interesting box-wise. I'll probably be getting rid of the box. I like when companies make the boxes not interesting. That way I don't feel bad about throwing them out. I do feel bad about throwing out the plastic, but anyway, enough rambling. So what does the figure come with? So right out of the box, the figure comes with two trigger discipline holding hands, one for each side, the left and the right. He currently has one on his right for the Disruptor gun. Also comes with two hands to hold the energy sword, one for both sides, left and right. He's got the left one on right now. Comes with two fisted hands, although I'm not a big fan of how the fists look. They look too open to me. Like the fingers are just way too long or something. It's just odd. Like when I make a fist here, let me for comparison. It just looks very strange. Like it looks like it's more like this, you know. Sorry if that's not widely in focus, but not really a big fan of those hands. And the final hand is only one hand, and this is for the left hand. It's kind of like two fingers pointing with the thumb out. I think this is used for maybe holding weapons, but otherwise I'm not really sure why they have this weapon in here. Last few things it comes with. Disruptor. It's not well painted, like at all. Actually, you know what? This might help with the glare. Perfect. So as you can see, it's not painted other than the handle, which has brown, and they even painted down here. A bit strange that they painted the handle on this, but like nothing else. It also has a hexagonal peg hole there, but this figure doesn't have a peg hole on its back or its holster down here. So you can't really pose this with the figure like in storage. You can only have it in their hand. And the last accessory we get here is probably my favorite. It's an energy sword, and it's got like a matte paint on it, and it looks really nice. And it's the exact same paint job on both sides. Probably just makes manufacturing easier, but it looks nice. They have to use these two bits in the middle here so that, you know, in packaging it doesn't warp and it keeps its shape. But if you wanted to cut those, that's fine. Also the tip on mine, because of how long it must have been in the package, it's not like fully straight out, but you know, the heat gun easily fixed that, although I am worried about the paint coming off on that. Anyway, so those are all your accessories. Now let's end the box. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the figure. I'm just going to set these to the side here. And, you know, being my first Spartan collection figure, and the only one I really wanted to get of the ones I've seen, I think it does a pretty good job of making it look like the in-game armor. I did a pseudo comparison for my own self just to see how it looked in comparison to the game, and it's pretty close. There are a few things that still bug me about the design of this figure, but overall, I think when compared to the game, it works. Like, it looks like it jumped out of the game, although, the problem with the game is you can't actually get this coating in game unless you spend money. Everything else, though, you can get. Oh, except the knee pads. The knee pads you can't get for free either in game. But anyway, let's go ahead and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's talk about the actual figure. The figure itself is a nice reddish color that borders on like a dark pink. It has different shades of gold. Obviously, the visor is that nice shiny type of plastic, and it captures the light really well. Wish companies would do that type of shine on their plastic toys. Anyway, the other gold they use though is also pretty nice. It's yellow in the torso, but like down here it's closer to like a like a dark yellow, like an orange even. What I really appreciate though is that they did not skimp out on paint on this figure at all. Like, this figure is fully decked out. There's so much paint on it. It just looks so good the way the light hits it. It even has dry brushing on just about every piece. Like, you can see most easily on the torso here how the light hits just like some dashes and streaks. And it works. They did such a fantastic job with the paint on this figure. In some places it is a bit off though, like on the waistcloth here. It's not cloth, it's rubber, but you can see that on this side is pretty off, and this is not centered. If you look over here, it looks fine, but over here it's a bit off. There are a few other places where it's not, as nice to look at, but nothing that detracts from the overall look of the figure. I even appreciate like these little tiny blue details. They didn't have to paint that, but they did, and it just the painting on this figure is perfect. Like 10 out of 10, right? Like, everything's here, everything you'd want to be here. There's even dry brushing. Kind of wish they went with a wash instead of dry brushing, but whatever. I'm not complaining about that. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at the actual armor parts you get. So you get the Kabuto helmet. This was the helmet that was advertised very heavily in the game. It's coming with the free event pass, and it looks really good. Because of the way the helmet's designed, though, it does limit posability in the neck here. So, like, it can look down pretty good, and it can spin left and right, but you can't really have this Spartan helmet look up, like, at all. Like, that's as far back as it's gonna go. There's really no up movement to it. But down, you're good, If you want to have him, like, jump on someone, you could do that. At least just the head-wise. Alright, so the shoulder plates here, you get the Gatekeeper shoulders. These are also in the free event pass. They look pretty good. Probably my favorite shoulder plates. I dig them. They look good. Just, yeah, no complaints there. Glad that they got the little yellow detail in there. If you really wanted to, you could probably cut off or cut around this so that if you didn't like those shoulder plates and you wanted to customize this figure, you could cut into the rubber, but I wouldn't recommend it. The forearms here, those look good. They even painted this back here, which is nice. I mean, you barely even see that unless, you have the arm all the way up like that. Posability in the arm, a bit similar to Lightning Collection, but no butterfly joint. Has a ball for the shoulder, 360 like that, although the Gatekeeper part gets in the way. And what is nice is that the ball can actually be moved independent of the forearm swivel. So you can, if I can get it into a pose, it's kind of hard to do because of how the figure is molded. Like, if you look in here, it's diagonal instead of just like flat. So if you really wanted to like get this ball into a position where, trying to see here, get it all mixed up. Yeah. So like if you have the ball so that the hinge is facing this way, you could probably like twist the arm this way and then bring it forward a little bit. So there is some range of movement you can get in there, but because of the way this is molded, again, it might be a bit difficult. The elbows here are double jointed. It goes up on the back one that far and up on the front one that far. Very good posability on the ball joint there, or not ball joint, the hinge joint rather, double jointed. Looks good. Don't know why it's not wanting to focus. I know that's cool, but stop it. There we go. Okay, so the hand, it's what you'd expect. You know, it's got a swivel and it's got a hinge, and that's on all the hands. None of them go this way. They all go this way. Waist piece, it doesn't have an attachment on the waist piece in game, or rather, in game. This is what it would look like without a hip attachment. I'm not really a big fan of how this turned out. I wish that this could have been like a little bit further back, because it kind of makes it look like it's got really wide hips. I'm not too big a fan of that. It doesn't look bad though. Let's go back up here real quick. It's very interesting how this is made, but the issue I have is posability wise. This is separable in two pieces. Let me show you. Very easy to take apart and put back together, so don't worry about it too much. But you can see there's a ball joint, there's a socket joint, and the way that this goes into this, there's really not a good amount of movement and posability in the upper torso. You have some shifting movement, but really it's lacking quite heavily. And there is no waist swivel in this figure, so the only way to really get any good posability out of this is probably to like chop off this part of the figure. But otherwise, yeah, you know, if you're looking for a really good like torso posability, you're not going to find it here. Speaking of the torso, this is actually a separate part that goes over top of this. I just thought that was interesting. Haven't seen anyone, or any company rather, make a figure quite like this. But you can stick it on there if you wanted to remove the midsection. But yeah, I mean, there's your posability right there. And you know, if you're doing like a stop motion or something, you could probably take that torso piece out and just, you know, interpolate it. But yeah, see, it goes on very easy. So if you are afraid of taking this figure apart, don't be. It's not that problematic. But yeah, back to the waist here. It's got like a nice rubber piece here, so it doesn't infringe upon the movement here to the side. A little bit to the front, but you know, it gets out of the way for you. Now, this joint, the way it works is just like the shoulders. So it's two pieces. It's got the ball and then it's cut up here. So you can twist this, you know, like this, but you can't really twist it backward too much. Like that's all you get. But inward, it's not too bad. So, you know, I do wish you could twist this just a little bit more backward. But anyway, the knee pads. The knee pads here are the Shadow Raven knee pads. You have to purchase these in the store anytime that the Yoroi event comes back. Not a big fan of these knee pads. I don't like how flat they are. I usually use the complimentary ones to the Gatekeeper, you know, of the free event pass. But another strange thing is how they do the knees. So like the elbows, that's pretty standard, very small piece, and then it just connects the two. This has the upper thigh and then the calf, and then it just has this really long piece. It looks strange, but the reason they do that is so that the knee pad stays on the knee. It's just a bit odd because of this piece though, you can't really get a lot of, you know, movement in the leg. Like the lower calf is mostly fine. Like there's a good amount of posability there, but really this has like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 clicks in it. I mean it's still it's enough, but I wish there was just a little bit more out of that posability wise. Again, really nice that they painted that with the yellow and the gold, not just gold on all of it. The attention to detail is really nice here. They even got dry brushing on the calf that you would barely see, like if you were posing this figure. I'm just really impressed with the paint on this figure. The posability, though, could be a bit more. You got a foot swivel. and you got a toe bend, but no ankle pivot, which you'd think would limit the stances this figure can be in, but honestly, it doesn't really do that. So, like, for example, if I wanted to pose the figure like this, with his legs splayed out a bit more, yeah, he can hold the pose. But, like, if I wanted to go, like, way out here, somehow he holds that pose, with his legs splayed out pretty far. Now, any further than this, I wouldn't even try, but I mean, do you think he can hold up with the splits like this? Okay, yeah, no, but you know what I'm saying. So, posability wise, the figure is a little lacking, but the paint on this figure is good, and it looks really nice when you pose them with the weapons, which I will show you real quick how to put them in. Disruptor's pretty easy, you just kind of finesse it in there, not a problem. Energy Sword's a little bit more complex. Pretty easy though, you just take it. You want to stick it in similarly to how you stick the Disruptor in. And then it's going to go in between the middle finger and the third finger, or the ring finger in this case. And you can adjust it, so if you want it up a bit more, you can, or down a bit more. I've also seen people cut into the fingers there, so you can have it be a little bit more dynamic. So you can have it kind of like that. But for me, I'm just going to have it normally there. But, you know, the figure looks good with the weapons there. I do wish instead of the energy sword, we got a gravity hammer, though. I think it just would have looked much nicer. Anyway, this figure doesn't come with a stand, but I'm going to go ahead and put it on a stand here, just for some size comparisons. Anyway, this figure stands at roughly 7 inches tall, like just at 7 inches. Now, I only have one other Halo action figure to compare this to, and this was the Combat Evolved Anniversary McFarlane Toys Master Chief in silver. It's always funny posing this figure next to other figures just because of the size difference, but you know, like, I don't think I've been disappointed in a sculpt from any Halo figure I've had. Let's see. So that's the only other Spartan I have on me to compare it to. Let's go ahead and compare this to a Mega Bloks figure. So here's a light of saying Helios. And obviously the size difference is pretty massive, but alright. Last but not least, I always like to do a little size comparison with Lightning figures. So here's Dino Thunder Red. So yeah, about just shy of an inch shorter. So, final verdict on this figure, I think that if you see this in store, I think it's a no-brainer. I think you should pick this up. But if you're looking for a very highly posed figure, you're not going to find it here. The arm posability is good. The leg posability is mostly good, but the torso posability kind of sucks. Like, again, you can only get just a little bit, and like, if you twist it any more than that, you're going to force it and strip the paint. I've already stripped a little bit on there, if you can see it down that way, but I absolutely recommend this figure, and while I don't have any of the other Spartan collection figures, and probably won't be collecting any unless an operator from Reach gets released, I think this is satisfactory for me to have just this one. So, if you're looking for a cool looking samurai Halo armor, I think Jazzwares here's got you covered. I think this is good. So let me know in the comments below if you want to see me get more Halo the Spartan collection figures. If you have picked up this figure, or if you've picked up any of the other figures, be sure to leave a like on the video. It helps me out a lot and lets me know that this is something you guys want to see me do. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when videos like this are uploaded to the channel. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.